Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Aaron Kavley, and you're probably here to follow the further adventures of Jinx, the cyberpunk, using Neon City Overdrive role-playing rules. When we left last time, the Razor Girls in a rival gang had attacked, and Jinx and Fidget ended up going through their building, driving off, counterattacking, flanking the Razor Girl thugs who were attacking the different Cardinal Vulture, his gang, the different Cardinal Vultures, people who lived in that tenement. And they were able to drive them off, but not without at least a couple of casualties to the members of the Cardinal Vultures. And so what they did is they ended up gathering up who they could and getting over to Slab's garage. That's kind of the call that went out, was for everyone to gather together to start, at least not gathered together completely, but within their blocks, within their plexes, within their metroplex, which makes sense to Jinx because if the Razor Girls are clever, which some of them are, then maybe they want to get everyone together and they can set off some big bomb and wipe out the whole gang. So instead of all gathering together in one spot, they are gathering together in local bunkers, if you will. They're going to the mattresses in the very, very, very old school parlance of the gangster world at this point. So as Jinx and Fidget help the last couple of people limping along from the tenement into just down the street to the Slabs garage and warehouse. That's where they're hanging out, since she's the boss of that plex, that neighborhood. Uh, as they help the last two through, the door shuts and two auto turrets have been set up on either side, and they're scanning the doorway, just waiting for some Razor Girl hijinks. He walks over, he sets the woman from the third floor down into what looks to be some kind of makeshift triage area where wounded people from the area who are coming to Slab's bunker, coming to Slab's garage to hide and to regroup. He sets them down. He can count. It looks like there's at least a dozen moaning and groaning wounded who are there. And not everybody in the gang, or not everyone there, is directly in the gang. They're not active shooters or gang bangers, but some of them are family. Right? They are technically in the gang because they are family, and they are protected by the family and the rules of the gang, but they're not active participants, wives and children. And there are a couple of young children, a couple of wives that have been hit, that were hit either in the crossfire or the drive-by or whatever, and a few gang doctors, people with medical training, paramedics who happen to be in the gang still, are tending to those people as best they can. He sets her down and looks up to see if he can find Slab, and she's over by her office, and there's a crowd of gang enforcers kind of circling as she's talking to them, and she waves him over. Fidget sits down and lets out a long sigh. Oh man, I just can't go on anymore. I can't go on anymore. You go see what she wants. I'm just going to rest here. Oh man, what a day. Oh shit, what a day. And Jinx nods and carries on into or carries on to the group, and they part to let him into the circle. And Slab looks around at them all, says, it's not good. There are dozens dead. 3 of our fly labs have been destroyed. 2 lots of warehouse burned out, attacked with some heavy weaponry. Those fly girls, they really caught us with our pants down. Father had been talking with them recently. They should have been part of, they have accepted his motions of nonviolence, of treaty. Apparently, they decided to stab us in the back. For now, Father has ordered everyone to stay in their plexes, to gather. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to gather. We're going to stay here. We're going to fortify. And we're going to wait for orders. She motions to a stack of shelves, and on the shelves are a bunch of surplus little bivouacs and sleeping bags, basically. Go set yourself up someplace. Keep your gear handy. I have a feeling we'll need it soon. Does anyone have anything new to report? And all the enforcers, without spending a lot of time going over and over everything that happened, they and when they do, Slab tells them to to get to the point. But they talk about the different areas where they were in and what happened and a quick rundown. And she looks at Jinx. He does the same. He explains what happened in their building and what they did. And she nods and says, "All right, everyone, see to your weapons. Get some rest. I'll start pulling people for watches, but fortunately, last week we managed to get a haul of these turrets straight from the Mill Corp. I didn't think we'd be able to do much with them because they're so hot. But there we go." And Jinx glances over his shoulder and he sees that these turrets, he can see multiples of them set up by every entrance into the warehouse. And they sit there just like professional little robot soldiers, eagerly waiting to shoot the person, the next person that comes through that doesn't match their IFF profile. So he goes over, gets a sleeping bag for him and one for Fidget, and he finds a place that looks like it has some cover in case they do get attacked, some place he could dive behind, close to the close to where some of the vehicles are. He figures if he is going to be used for something, it'll probably be that. And vehicles make pretty good cover if you hide behind the right part of them. He sets it up, and as he unrolls and he sits down, his back against the wall, he just suddenly feels exhausted. It's like all the energy just drains out as his adrenaline dump fades away, and he closes his eyes and he just naps. They stay busy in the warehouse, making sure, taking inventory, making sure everybody is equipped as best as possible with the limited resources, securing food. There are some of the drones that have been sent back and forth between the gang hideouts have been shot down by Razor Girl snipers. And so this top of the city, the buildings, is a sniper war between the two gangs. So they've taken to using the ground vehicles and as best as possible when they need to rush supplies. But for the most part, the father it tells everybody to just stay put until it's figured out what to do next. So Jinx spends 2 days hiding, recuperating, trying to help the wounded as best he can, making sure all the vehicles are up, tinkering under the hood as he loves to do to take his mind off of, well, really off of what he saw. It was not pretty. And he spent some of that time ruminating whether or not it really was the best choice to join this gang, because now he's in it. There's no turning back. He has already he has already done those things that he's already jumped feet first into the dark side of his gangster life. So after 2 days, something interesting has to happen, right? It's a solo role playing game. This time, I'm going to introduce one of the other tools that I like to use for my solo role playing. Probably one of my favorite supplements because it's very small and it's very concise, but it has a lot of stuff in it. And that is the TriCubes solo um, game by Richard Woolcock. It's for a game that actually complements Neon City Overdrive pretty well, called TriCube Tales. A minimalist D6 game. One of the cool things it has all these little like 2-sheet settings, and it's just, it's really all the rules condensed down into it. But they have a bunch of different settings. I'm not plugging for that. I ran a complete campaign using that. If you want to go check out my channel, I've got a gunslinger, like Stephen King's Gunslinger campaign that I ran using those rules. Uh, so, but I like it so much, I'm going to use it to generate the mission, to generate what happens next to Jinx. Instead of rolling it up, of course, as a job that someone is coming to pay him for, it's going to be a mission that the father wants him to do, or Slab, somebody wants him to do. Let's see, I'll roll a die 6. The higher the die 6, the higher up the chain the commands come from. 4. Okay, so we'll say it's Slab. She probably has been given information about what's going on, and we're going to generate um, our order. I do have, my handy little button here, but just to mix it up. All right. 2, 3, 2, and 2. Okay, so lots of 2s there. We come over to our bit here. So we're going to exchange or trade. Okay, so maybe there's some kind of a peace deal going on. No, probably not. Not at this point. I think that's probably they need to either get or give supplies to another hideout. 3, a rich executive. Bar 2, inside or near a bar or nightclub, and dealing with surveillance drones. Okay. Now on page 2 of this, it comes up with a kind of a more detailed version. So to use this as examples of what the ambitious hotshot up and coming executives making a lot of enemies while climbing the corporate ladder. The new Munich bar, and live footage. The entire job is an elaborate setup. That's not what we're gonna do with, but I think so. As I take a moment to look at that, okay, I think I know what we'll do. I think I know how to interpret that solo RPG oracle. Um, Slab comes over and knocks on the taps on the hood of the car that Jinx is looking at, that he's tinkering with, and he says, and she says, "Jinx, I've got a job for you." Jinx puts a, wipes his tool off with a rag and shoves it in his pocket as he looks up, lifts his little tech goggles up, partly just so it'll match the cool picture there. And he says, "Yeah, boss, what you got? I could use some time out of this place." "Well, good, you're going to get some. The Razor Girls, every time we try to send something out, they have this entire area covered with drones. The surveillance drones, they're everywhere. Ours are everywhere too, but they've got some kind of hook into the local net, and they see everything that we do. Our drones can't seem to find them. Well, we've had some of our tracker crews figure out what's going on, and it looks like the Razor Girls have paid off some local tech company to give them special access into the city's grid sensors, tapping in illegally. I need you to get out there and go talk to this executive who's made the deal. Convince him of the error of his ways. I don't really want you to have to off him. We would rather swap places. Father has authorized a very big payment to try to out-bribe him. If that won't work, though, well, you've got to do what you've got to do, Jinx. We'd rather no one can use this man if we can't. Or if he at least won't agree to terminate his contract with the Razor Girls. Even after a couple of days, supplies in some of the hideouts are getting a little low, and it's getting harder and harder to get supplies, to get food. All right. Yeah, where's he at? And then here, we're going to generate where he needs to get to. Okay, so I went ahead, well, in that microsecond that you guys couldn't see because I paused the video, I went ahead and rolled up the information on this contact that he's supposed to meet using, so again, some very good tables from this Tricube's solo, and also a like this. I just randomly generated it. That's all it is, really. It's a random cyberpunk corporations with what they're into, and a hook that they have. Let's see. Oh, let's get back over to our character sheet. All right, so um, Jinx, he looks over the file that Slab provides to him on this guy, and his name is James Mason, and he works for the Saturnations Corporation. I'm not exactly sure why he's involved in hacking, the city grid. They're mostly a textiles company that specializes in making like executive class body armor. But that's who the Vulture hackers have pinned as the guy that the Razor Girls are using to get their enhanced sensor net through the local grid nodes. So that's who he's going to see. Okay, so gosh, what, how do I even how do I even talk to him? What do you want me to say? Well, first, be polite. It's a business, right? So be polite. Okay, let's see. So he's a corporate guy, looks like here. I guess maybe I should dress the part. Do you think I should look fancy or should I go full gangster? What do you think? Well, since you're going to be meeting him, let's see. Where will they be meeting? One, two, three, four, five. According to the thing, he actually spends a lot of time in the grinders, apparently. Which would make sense if it's mostly a textiles corporation. Okay, so um, he spends a lot of time in the company factory. He has a nice office there, which is, of course, all in the file. But that's apparently where he meets everybody. It looks like it might be a bit dangerous, and I'll tell you, until you get there, the Razor Girls are probably gonna see you going there. We'll try to disguise you as best we can. Uh, all right, well, let's see. I've been working on this X73 over here, and I think we can put some scramblers. I saw some scramblers over in that shelf. Maybe those scramblers will help throw the drones off at least long enough to get away, from the drones looking, right? That's a good idea. And so Jinx goes through and he starts picking out his gear. He's picking out his gear. Let's clear that out. So we're going to give him an X47. That's a little car. We'll give it a stealth module. And armor plates. And let's see, we'll go for, let's say we want it to be agile as well, so he can steer it around. And I think he's going to try to put maybe not one of the big ones that's guarding on there, but he wants to put a little turret. He's going to put a little anti-drone turret on there. Let's see if they have one. I'm picturing more of like a little laser thing, nothing that's going to be blowing holes in buildings if he misses, but something that has enough power to burn out or EMP drones that they may start trying to follow him with. So for his first special roll, that gives him 1, 2, 3, 4. So if he rolls a 1 through 4, no, he has to roll 4 or higher. That's what it is. If he rolls a 4 or higher, then he can get that. Okay, so 1 roll wasted. But he really wants that, so he's going to try again. Oh, geez, so that's 2 rolls wasted. All right, so he's going to so he's got 2 rolls left. He's going to sacrifice one of those rolls. This is a Neon City Overdrive roll. He's going to sacrifice one of those rolls to give himself a +1. So now it's 3 or better. Okay. All right. So he spends a lot of time throwing this together and making deals with some other people, some other headquarters to get some of the components he needs, and so it takes a little while to get this done. And so he doesn't have enough time to really look for a bunch of other things that he might also like to do. With his last roll, he wants some stun grenades. And we'll say that they... Say if they're close enough, they'll walk. They can walk. So they're tracking. Basically, he designates someone, he throws the grenade, and they'll walk a short distance. They're not like super tracker grenades or anything like that. Um, so they'll have a stun and walk. I'll just put walk aspect tags there. All right. Excellent. So he has a box of these stun grenades. His decision to use stun grenades is not because he's some big pacifist, but the stun grenades have less chance of blowing buildings up that that he might be in throwing them. So um, there we go. You know what? I think instead of walking, I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna change that to stun and EMP. Since he knows he's dealing with drones, it might be handy to have some grenades that will do EMP stuff instead. All right, so he spends the morning. He finally gets his car set together so that he can go driving through, hopefully avoiding these drones. Now, mostly what he's heard is that they're sensor drones, but if they're sensor drones, it's not that hard to put a maybe a gun on those sensor drones. So he gets his stuff ready. He puts his coat on, his armored coat. This is starting to look a little worse for the wear, having stopped to, or well, didn't actually stop any rounds last time, but having a couple rounds put through it in the battle in the tenement. He gets it. He loads up on magazines. He gets the grenades and sets them in his pocket on his armored trench coat. Hefts his lucky wrench that he uses to club people when he's not fixing cars, and hops in. The and as he revs the engine, gets us started, um, Slab walks up to the window and says, "Normally, we're sending everybody out in at least pairs. Better with four. But we don't want to spook this guy, so I'm sending you out there alone. It might be hard, but I think you can do it. I think you can pull through for this, Jinx. The father has told me, has expressed to me how important it is to get these drones under control. We can't stick our asses out a window without it getting shut off. All right? You've never let me down. So good luck. Vámonos." And she slams the hood of the car with her cybernetic hand, and Jinx heads on out. Now, of course, the buildings monitored, so it's impossible for them, not the Razor Girl drones flying around, or it's very unlikely that they will miss the garage opening. So I'm going to say on a 1 or a 2, they zipped out there fast enough to where the drones missed it. Okay, no. And Jinx is not expecting that they would have. So he pulls out, he hits the jammer that he installed, and he immediately tries to lose the drone by doing some crazy maneuvers. All right, so we will give him, because the first thing he's trying to do, he's trying to get out of there. We're going to use his rev head. offensive driving, and wired reflexes. I think those would both count because he's really trying to get his vehicle. He knows he can't outmaneuver a drone because a drone can just hover up above, but he's trying to get in between some tall buildings so that the drones actually do have to follow him instead of being able to easily just go over and track him. So he guns it. He whips around one corner. There's some cars honk as he cuts them off, and he tears off down this alley, swerves almost immediately, causing some pedestrians who are trying to cross the street, cause them to jump out of the way, and he peels again off down an alleyway and jerks to the left and jerks to the right and looks at his scanner because now you can be wired in, and he looks to see if there's any drones, if he escaped them. So that's going to be his base die, rev head, offensive driving, wired reflexes, and let's see. I'm going to give him mostly just. I don't think the agility is going to help him evade them as much as his stealth module. So I'm going to give him five action dice. 5 for that. And because they're under such good surveillance, I'm going to give 2 danger dice. Give 2 danger dice. Okay. Excellent. All right, so he whips around, and he does a loop back and just does all these crazy skills that he loves to do driving around. And he plugs in and he starts scanning for drones with his, obviously has a little laser. Obviously it can scan and detect them, otherwise it wouldn't be able to shoot them down. And it doesn't find any of them. The ones that were tracking it, because he knew they were tracking, they were on the little screen. The ones that were tracking him are nowhere to be found. He doesn't know where he lost them because he was too busy driving around, but he manages to escape, and the drones don't know where he's at. Now he's got to get over to the grinders, so he's got some territory to cover. Even though he escaped the drones, the Razor Girls know that someone escaped that building. So I'm going to say on a 5 or a 6, they actually send somebody to try to find that car. Some local enforcers or something to look for him on the ground because the drones lost him. 5 or 6. Okay, he gets away scot-free. It's a nervous drive because he's waiting for he's waiting for some kind of bomb to fall on him, or waiting to run into some kind of Razor Girl roadblock, but nothing happens. So he makes his way through town, enjoying the sights, enjoying the fact that he's out of the garage for a little bit. And he's leaning back, he turns up the music, is blaring all over. I won't try to go pull up some cyberpunk music, although it might be cool. But so he's flipping through the stations. I mean, those stations are on, built into the grid, not necessarily the car, but he's listening and sets it to auto drive for a little while and just relaxes and watches the city go by. And he looks, and at first he thinks about how good it is to be back in the city. And then as he enters the grinders, as he starts entering the back streets, the dirty streets, the filthy streets, covered with obscene graffiti, homeless drug addicts walking around, moping around on the street corners. And he shakes his head and he realizes that it's still a shithole. It's still a shithole, and that's why he's going to the orbitals. that's why, and he needs to not lose focus on that. So he shakes his head in disgust, and he takes control of the vehicle again and says, "Fuck this place, man. Fuck this place." And then he pulls up into the factory, or into the lot to the factory. It's open. There's a guard, and Jinx gives his best smile and says, "Yeah, I'm here to talk to Mr. Mason." And the guard touches his goggles and flips through and says, "I don't see any appointments for him this morning. Who are you?" "My name's Jinx. He may not be necessarily expecting me. I tell Mr. Mason that I represent a party willing to make a counteroffer to the arrangement he has with the girls. You'll know what you mean." "All right." The guard sighs with his professional disinterest, and uh, Jinx can see that his eyes are moving behind his goggles, and his subcutaneous mic is going off. You can see just barely the his throat muscles, so he knows he's talking to somebody. "All right, Mr. Jinx. He's busy for a little while. If you'll pull over here," and he points out a parking spot near the gate. I'll let you in a couple of minutes." And so Jinx, he smiles, but he doesn't really want to be in this exposed parking spot that he's in. He wants to get closer. He wants to get in the actual lot as soon as he can before the Razor Girls show up. But his fears are unwarranted, as he is able, as just a couple minutes pass, maybe, or 10, 15 minutes pass, nothing happens. No Razor Girl, no big blue truck or cyber enforcer comes rolling down the street. Uh, he tries to scan as best as he can. He doesn't want to look nervous, so he doesn't want his little laser turret to be rolling around looking for him, or looking as his eyes, while he's right kind of next to this guard shack. And then after that time, after that 15 minutes, the gate opens up and the guard waves him through. And as Jinx pulls by, the guard says, "Go in next to the door by loading dock C. Go straight forward all the way to the end of the hall. Take the steps up. You'll see his office there. Don't go anywhere else. We're watching. Right? Right? You know we're watching. Right, I got it. Let's go." And so he drives in. He parks the the place as he opens the door. As he's close now, the heavy smell of the industrial chemicals that are used in the process of making their their textiles and their armored uh, clothes. It just really almost gags him, and he kind of wishes he had one of those filters, one of those environmental cyber filters, shoved into his nose or into his esophagus. But he puts on his best face, shakes it off, and follows the instructions down the hallway by loading dock C, up the steps, and he knocks on the door that says James Mason. He walks in, or he knocks on the door that slides open, kind of fancy, Star Trek whoosh, whoosh, kind of door. Whoosh. And he steps in, and behind a minimalist, stylistic desk is a handsome man. Obviously, it looks like he has been enhanced genetically, or surgically enhanced, to fit the corporate fixer look. He's got the big smile and the big bright eyes, and Very shapely. Got the, you know, got the suit cut just right to look professional and still show off the his muscles beneath. Jinx walks forward and says, "Mr. Mason, how are you? My name is Jinx." "Ah, Jinx, nice to meet you." He shakes his hand. "And have a seat." And a little robot seat rolls over from against the wall and puts itself behind Jinx. Jinx sits down. "Can I get you anything, Mr. Jinx? Would you like a drink? I've got some fine brandy, some sodas, or seltzer water if you're more of a teetotaler, you know what I mean?" Uh, no thanks, Mr. Mason. Please, please, call me Jim. I have a feeling we're going to be friends, and all my friends call me Jim. Well, I like to be friends, Jim. So Jinx smiles and he tries to relax. The guy's just likable. He can't, and him being so likable actually puts Jinx more on guard. Uh, so the guard tells me that you're here for a counter offer with the girls. I'm not exactly sure what you mean. I think you do know what I mean. Otherwise, you wouldn't have cleared your schedule to see me. And Jim, friendly Jim, he chuckles and he says, "Huh? All right, you got me." So I assume, just from where the girls have set up, that maybe you represent someone out by the Metroplex Alpha? It's a little bit more than that, Jim. I represent the vultures, the cardinal vultures, whom your aid to the Razor Girls is hindering us greatly. It's really fucking up with our stuff. It's really jamming our style. Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that, Jinx. I'll be honest, I didn't really ask what they wanted. They just asked for some internet or some kind of cyber grid intrusionware. What's what's a textile company doing peddling cyber intrusion shit, Jim? Well, a good business is a growing business, right? And so everything that I try to do, I try to look for new avenues. Cyber business. We even tried satellites for a while. We were in construction. Our entire thing got wiped out by a storm. So, you win some, you lose some. But our new cyber product, cyber intrusion product, seems to be going pretty well. Don't you think? Well, Jim, yeah, I do kind of think. Because every time me or my family steps outside, the Razor Girls are there, ready to kill us right away. Oh, well, I'll be honest, I don't really know much about life over, the whole gang stuff, except for what I see on in the grid vids. I mean, I know that's all bullshit, but um, the the problem is though that I've entered into an agreement with them. I don't think they would be very happy uh, with the company if we just pulled out. That's probably true, Jim, but right now they're happy with you and we're not happy with you. I mean, we're really not happy with you right now. And Jim looks he gets a very apprehensive look suddenly and kind of shrinks back and he's like, if you hurt me, you'll never get out of this building. All right? You won't. I don't want it to come to that, Jim. Really, I don't. I'm looking to make a deal. All right? I want you to just drop their access. Okay? That's all we want. I mean, we've got hurt people who can't get what they need because those fucking drones have tapped into some to the net so successfully every time we leave. I opened the door to drive here, and I immediately got beset by a swarm of fucking things on me like flies on shit. Oh, well, let me review my contract with the you. Really, Jim? You made a contract with the Razor Girls, like an actual above board contract that's filed on your company records? Oh, okay, you got me again. That's the second time I've got you, Jim. I'm starting to get a little put out by having to play gotcha with you. All right? I wouldn't count too much on your fucking security out here, okay? Because there are other ways we can fuck you up. Unless you're planning on joining the Razor Girls and go hiding in their place, don't fuck with me anymore, okay? Or there's only going to be one of us coming out of this meeting. Or maybe zero of us. But that's just the way shit rolls. All right, so talk to me about dropping the girls out of the fucking net. Well, I mean, if I go back on that, they're going to be pissed at me. So, so what's on offer here? What's on the table? So Jinx, he reviews what Slab sent him, what to offer, and there's mostly credits, mostly credits and illicit illicit items. Uh, Jinx is not really a wheeler and dealer, but he's been on the street long enough to know how to broker some deals. So he's going to try to offer, judging as best as he can. He's going to try to offer the guy, I'm going to try to lowball him. He knows the guy's probably going to, he's going to see the lowball and it's going to start going into some kind of um, haggling. Let's see. And I believe his gutter scum. I think I'll give him one die for his gutter scum, because he knows how to make a deal. He knows how the stuff works, especially when you're looking to get something that's maybe not, above board, maybe not legal, and certainly this is not. So I'll give him I'll give him his two dice for that. I was going to give him a penalty die since Jim is obviously a more skilled negotiator, but because Jinx has the backing of the gang, because he has come with the authority to spend to trade resources. I'm just gonna cancel that out and give him his two dice here, or yeah, just his two dice with no danger dice. All right, excellent. So he gets a 6. Uh, so Jinx, kind of looking around the office, looking around James's office, he sees. Uh, let's see. Oh, he sees that James likes to go fishing on the wreck of the Gulf Coast. But they do have places. There are parts of Neon City that are below water, that where the city was built out underwater, and that area is relatively clean. And executives like to take their big yachts out uh, and go out there. And he notices that there are a bunch of different boats that he has pictures of. He's holding up Jim, that is. Uh, Jim has pictures of these different fish that he's caught, and he's smiling, and he's out on these different boats. One of the fish looks a little mutated, but hey, it's Neon City Overdrive. So he's holding this mutated fish, and he realizes that there are different people in each one of these pictures, and it is a different boat. So that makes him think that maybe Jim doesn't have his own boat. So Jim, I see you like to go fishing. Oh yeah, I love it. I love to be out there on the ocean. Uh, or I love to be out there on the Gulf. I like to fish too, but really, I just like being out there. It's so peaceful, um, in those small areas where they manage the storms, of course. But yeah, yeah, yeah. See, this is a fish, and he goes on talking about the things that he has, or the different trips that he's taken that he has taken pictures of. And Jinx says, "So, do you have your own boat? Those are kind of pricey, aren't they?" "Oh, yeah, that's I do pretty well. The company treats me great, but to get a good boat, you know, that costs a lot of money because you got all the fees, and then you have to be able to, to pay for the laser windows that keep the storms off. Oh, it's expensive. I'd love to do it. And hopefully with maybe our new cyber intrusion ware will be the product that allows me to do that. Wouldn't that be great?" Huh. And Jinx smiles and says, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, that would be great, Jim. Now, how about if I got you a boat?" "What? I appreciate the offer, Jinx, but, I mean, it would have to be like a nice boat. Right? I'm not interested in like little schooner or sailing ship. I want like a nice yacht." And because Jinx got the six, and I'm gonna say that Jinx presents the inventory of a nice yacht that the Cardinal Vultures have. They don't use it, but they have it. They stole it from somebody and cleaned up the serial numbers and the IFF transponder and all that stuff. Uh, but it's sitting in a warehouse closer to the Gulf side of the city. You have to remember the city's a lot bigger now than today. And he pings Slab real quick. That he highlights the boat in the inventory and pings Slab and says, "Am I okay to trade this?" And Slab's response is, "If it gets the job done." Jinx shrugs and he presents it onto the table, and a grid image of the boat appears in 3D, slowly rotating around. And Jinx looks at it, looks at Jim, who's impressed, and looks at the boat, and he says, "Hey, how about that? I can get this boat for you like that. In fact, it's already yours. It's just waiting. It's just waiting for an agreement." And Jinx can tell that Jim is tempted because it is a nice boat. Jinx is somewhat interested just in the mechanics of things because he's a rev head, but he's never really been out to the ocean. Jim looks at him and looks at the boat, and then looks at him, looks at the boat. Uses his fingers to twist and turn the the 3D hologram. He says, "Oh, that's a nice boat, Jinx. A real nice boat. And you're willing to trade that just to get the Razor Girls off of the net in your Plex?" "Yeah, like I said, Jim, we're just looking to protect our own, and we're just looking to make a deal with you, all right? There's no hard feelings. Okay, we get it. You're a businessman." I know the vids, project us as being a bunch of mindless murderers, but really, the Cardinal Vultures, we're business people too. Okay? We're business people looking out for a family. And we are willing to make this trade. All right? You make up whatever story you want to tell the Razor Girls. Okay? Tell them that the city figured it out and cut you off, or, oh, whatever, right? And the boat's yours. We'll even transport it to your dock. Okay, so Jim is tempted. And because this is a, role-playing game, we'll see if he, in addition to, wants something else. Wants, well, a job done. Because crossing the Razor Girls is kind of a big thing. On a 4, 5, or 6, he'll take the trade. 1, 2, 3, he wants just a little bit more, which is going to be a job that Jinx will have to go on. Ah, okay. All right. So in good role-playing game fashion, Jinx has to do something for him to get something out of him. And Jim looks and he says, "Ah, that's a wonderful offer, and I really don't want to cause your people any harm. Right? I'm just a businessman. Cyber intrusions, just kind of a sideline. Seems to be working though, right? Am I right?" Yeah, you're right, Jim. Move on. But like you said, one side or the other is going to be angry at me, right? If I turn you down, then you guys will be angry with me. And if I cut the Razor Girls off, then they're going to be angry with me, right? And I tell you that I was dealing with dynamics straight up. I mean, she came and made this offer. Whoa. Dynamics herself? Yeah. Dynamics is the gang leader of the Razor Girls, a very badass chick. But, you know, really now I'm kind of wanting to just back out of the whole thing and walk away. In order to do that though, I'm going to need you to do something for me. Oh, fuck's sake. What do you need me to do for you? Look, I know that you could just fill me full of holes right now, but then none of us will be happy, right? But in order for me to back out safely, and we're just going to randomly generate a job. So he needs to protect an artifact and a cure. Okay. All right, so instead of necessarily protect guard, he needs to okay, I got it. The Razor Girls, they're like you. They got smart hacker people. They're not gonna be fooled by some kind of simple excuse that I give them, right? So if you want me to take the deal, which I am very inclined to do, then what I need you to do is I need you to access this node that I've set up for them that they're using. And what I need you to do is this hub. I don't know that anyone would really be. I kind of set it aside so it was very hard to hack. I know you guys got smart people too, but he taps his he actually being a good corporate guy, he taps his interface chip, and a a data chip pops out of the desk, and he hands it to him and he says, "What you need to do is you need to get this into the hub. You need to plug it into the hub, let it download. and it'll deactivate. It'll kill them right there. I mean, I can turn it off whenever I want to, but then they'll see that. No, they'll know it's me, and then I'm fucked, right? Right, Jinx? I'm fucked because they'll come after me. All right, you get that? You sneak in. You sneak in. If you blow up the hub, then they're just going to come back to me. If they catch you fucking around with the hub, they'll probably blame me anyway. All right? And that does nobody good. So you take this, you sneak in, just plug it in, it'll automatically download. It's scripted, it does all that stuff. Jim looks at the table and an image of basically a standard looking grid node pops up, and along one side there are a couple of ports for hardwired connections, and the second one down highlights, and he says, plug this in there, and it just needs a second. Okay, it's kind of a fail safe, and it will look like, essentially to them, it'll look like somebody backtracked them and wiped out their node, right? Right? It clears me. I can just say, oh shit, well, it was good while it lasted. They'll be pissed at me probably, but they won't think that I backstabbed them, right? So you do that. Once that's done, transfer the boat, and I'll be out of your guys' war forever. All right, I won't step back in. I won't deal anymore with you. I won't deal anymore with the Razor Girls, right? Because really, it's kind of a test run. I'm looking to get a good contract with Osiris or GovCorp. That's what we're looking for here at Saturnician Corporation, right? We're looking to move up, and move out. Uh, yeah, okay, Jim. Save me the corporate spiel. Fuck. Nothing is ever simple. All right, download the location and everything to me. Um, I don't suppose you know how many people they got there or anything like that. Sorry, man. I installed it. When I installed it, there was, just a couple hackers, but the building itself was, full of all sorts of stuff. But I don't know. I know where it's at now, though. I can give you the address, and you can probably find the layout of the building somewhere. I mean, you said you got hackers on your team, right? So, are we agreed, Jinx? You shut down that node stealthily, right? Because if they get a hint that I was involved, I'm fucked, and then the deal's off. You get me my nice boat, and you get your skies over your neighborhood back. Are we good? And he holds out his hand. Jinx looks at it and then shakes it. Yeah. All right. All right. He takes the chip, tucks it away. Fuck's sake. All right, transmit the info. And we'll see how it goes. And I think we'll call it there. We're getting to that hour mark, which is apparently my new standard, even though I was really aiming for for half an hour. But and we will next week work out the mission to go shut this thing down, and it's gonna be kind of a stealthy mission. All right, since the mission is not done yet, and he's not really had downtime, which is really when you get to spend you get to spend your experience points and roll for leverage and all that. He's not going to get any of this session, but if he survives and wraps everything up, he'll basically have done two missions in one, and so we'll take care of all the experience there when he gets his downtime. So I hope to see you next time on the further adventures of Jinx the Cyberpunk. Happy gaming.